Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Tarot of Nella. In today's video is going to be my full tarot card collection. I have over 40 decks to show you. But before I start, I would just like to quickly mention that I do have a course running on my Etsy store at the moment, which is how you can manifest with tarot and oracle cards. So if you'd like to learn how to cleanse and charge your cards, a tarot spread for manifestation, which cards to use, numerology, meanings and recommended decks, how to perform your manifestation using your tarot or oracle cards, and a guided meditation into the card's energy. So if you'd like to check it out, my Etsy store is linked down below in the description bar where you can purchase this course or book a reading. So the first deck I have to show you on my animal decks is the Westwood Tarot by Yasmin Westwood. So this is very kind of fantasy based. The box is quite big and it kind of looks like a book. Lovely box, beautiful. But this is what the cards look like. So this is actually one of my newest decks that I've purchased. So it has a very simple backing, gold edged, and then the cards themselves all have animals on. So I love animals, big animal lover, so I feel very connected to this deck. And because it has so much going on, like with the symbolism, you can really kind of get very intuitive, strong messages. So just showing you a few of the cards here, you know, with the rainbow, like it is very lovely. Like this is one of my favourite cards, the Ten of Cups. But some of my favourites in this deck, a bit more darker. I love this with the grey stones at the back and the black cat. This is definitely my favourite cards in the whole deck. And then we have the Lovers. So the next one is Tarot of the Owls, and this is Pamela Shen. I'm literally obsessed with owls. This is the reason I bought this deck. I love the back. The back just pops. It has the owl eye with the vibrant feathers. What I love about this deck particularly is how the colours in this deck. It has the most beautiful vibrant colours, but the owls are different colours. So we have a green owl. We actually have pink owls in this deck, which is just one of the reasons that I gravitated towards it. You'll find that in a minute. So Pentacles is green. There we go. The Cups is pink owls. I mean, I just love it. I feel like it connects to like seasons. It connects to chakras in the body. I just love the colorations for the different suits. I mean, look at the Two of Cups, the barn owls. Like, yeah, this, I love birds in general, but owls, I was like, this is definitely a me deck. So yeah, I just find it so beautiful. The colorations so vibrant. So as I say, if you like owls or birds, then this is definitely up there with the beautiful coloration. So this next deck is one of my all-time favorites. This is the Mercari Tarot. This is the first edition, I believe. I don't think you can get this version anymore. So it has a rose petal finish, which is my favourite type of cardstock. So soft to touch. They have black edges, which is actually another favourite of mine is black edges. And the images just look so like 3D-ish. I can't explain it. They just really do pop and come to life. There's loads of animals in here. As you can see, we have crystals at the bottom. We also have like astrology symbols. So it is kind of a very versatile deck in that way. But it's just so beautiful, the symbols and the imagery. Not every card has an animal on, but I do class this as an animal deck. The birds in this are just so well detailed. Look at that fox. Like, it definitely is. I've always said this about this deck. It is my most beautiful. I feel like the artwork is so beautiful. Like, I can't fault it. It's just literally a 10 out of 10 deck. And I would never ever part with this. I just wouldn't. Like, it is beautiful and it reads so, so well. I mean, look at that. I could probably go through all of the cards in this deck, but I have so many cards to show you, so unfortunately I can't go through this whole deck, but it's so, so worth it. The next deck I have is called the Untamed Mystery Tarot. This is by Wheel of Fortune Tarot on Etsy. This deck is really foily. If you love holographic, this one's for you. So the back of the cards are really stunning. We have the eye and the skeleton, and we have holographic, and it is this type of rose petally finish with the raised design on here. Very, very pretty. A little bit spooky. This deck has coffee brown matte kind of edging. Very different. I don't have any other edge quite like this. Can you see how the camera just really picks up well with this? So if you're doing readings with this deck, it just pops to the camera. So it's really great for like picker cards or client readings. As you can see, we have animals in each card. So we've got the rabbit with the crystals. Look how those crystals are glowing. Like, it's such a beautiful deck. Like, it shows really well on camera, but it is very beautiful in person. And it is a little bit spooky. We have a lot of kind of skeletons, and I love the kind of white ghostly pop of colour that we have in these cards as well. So really beautiful animal deck. Lovely kind of symbols. Loads of rabbits, fish, birds. We've got a little turtle here. But as I said, it has that little extraness to it because it has the spooky eyeballs pretty much in most of the cards. So I love that. And yeah, it's a very, very beautiful deck with the artwork. So that is another animal deck that I have. So the next decks are basically going to be my love decks because I use these a lot for love readings. So this one is called the Victorian Muse Tarot, and this is by Hattie Fawn. You can find her on Etsy, but I love her decks. She does really beautiful tarot and oracle cards. So this deck has pink fans on the back, standard cardstock, but it's very sturdy, and this deck is just great for love readings because we've got the pink borders, so much pinkness and softness in this deck. I find this reads so well for love readings, and what I love about it, it literally is Victorian. It has this vintagey feel to it, but yet it's got this kind of love feeling to it, you know. So it really does work really well for love readings because it just has a, as I say, a gentle soft love feeling to this deck when I work with it, and that's why I like to use it for love readings. You can use any deck for love, but I just felt like when I bought this deck I just could not stop doing love readings with it because it just really helped my intuition. I love this one. But yeah, it is really, really beautiful. So if you're looking for like an old vintagey looking deck, but you want it to kind of have, you know, that feeling of like love and romance, this is definitely the one. So the next kind of love deck that I have is the Vacant House Tarot. So this is the box. And this deck I purchased on Etsy. And this is the back of the cards, and it has a kind of like linen type of cardstock to it. So if you see the kind of square texture to it, that's the finish. But this deck, as I say, is great for love. You'll see in the symbolism, we've got loads of love hearts, loads of flowers, and this reads, I cannot tell you how well this reads for love. It's just got really great symbols, very kind of fantasy, doll-like. But yeah, again, it has a little bit of a vintagey feel to it, but it really does have kind of lovely, kind of like little doll girls in it. So yeah, I really do love this one. It really does read very well, as I say, and yeah, it's so pretty. It's a bit spooky, it's a bit different. But yeah, I really recommend this deck. So then I have the Ethereal Visions Illuminated Tarot deck by Matt Hughes. And the reason I'm including this into the kind of love and romance is because, again, it has a soft feel to it. So it has that kind of loving feel. Very basic kind of backing, really, but it does have gold foil here, and it is obviously Art Nouveau style. So again, just really beautiful kind of vintagey feel. But yeah, really love the gold on these cards, to be honest. I do love the gold foil. It just gives a little extra to the deck. But it's very soft. You can see it's very gentle, very easy to work with. So yeah, it's a nice deck if you want to, again, have a particular deck that you just wanted to use for love, maybe. Yeah, it's just, yeah, it's beautiful. So the next decks I'm going to show you are like my vintagey feel decks. And I'm really annoyed about this because I basically just ripped my box trying to get the cards out. They were so tight in here, and it was to do with the guidebook. I'm going to keep this out because it's actually really frustrating when you have these tight tuck boxes and you cannot get the cards out. I mean, that's just annoying because it's quite an expensive deck, but at the same time I'm not going to sell it anyway. So this deck here is the Tarot of Unknown Shadows. This is the second edition from 2020. These cards have the gold foil. Like, the backing is stunning. Like, look at that backing. Has like a distressed look to it as well. So really love the backs. It's kind of like matte, kind of gold edged to it kind of thing. And this deck has foiled writing on it, and it's a bit different. It's a bit creepy-ish in a way, because it's like these real photographs of these people, and it's just kind of like this kind of almost like collage concept to it. It's, yeah, like, it's a bit different. But I really love it. I feel like it just has a really kind of vintagey feel to it. It feels very much like good for like past life readings and those kind of things. There is a card in here that I absolutely love, which is my favourite. I'm hoping I can find it. It is the Magician card. Oh, look at the little children. And the Lovers card is lovely as well. So this is my favourite card in the deck because he literally looks like his eyes moving, like he's following you around the room. It's such a cool effect to do that, to give the gold foil in one eye. Such a good move, such a good idea, and very spooky. So yeah, I really do enjoy working with this deck. So then I have the Old Style Tarot, and this is created by Alexandra Ray. This is the back of the cards with the little eye there, and it has lovely colours in this. But the Old Style Tarot, as you can see, it kind of follows an old style system. So if you're feeling familiar with like Rider-Waite system, it is quite similar to that within the imagery, but it just has a lot going on for this. Like, you can get, as I say, loads and loads of messages from this deck. It's just really, really great. So if you like vintage and you're here for the vintage decks, then yeah, this is one that you might want to add to your collection if you don't have it already. And as I say, it's just really, really very traditional. Then I have the Infernal Tarot. So I got this from this website, which is the Infernal Tarot. This is a Kickstarter exclusive first edition. So this is the back of the cards. Then it has gold foil, almost like matte kind of. This deck, I cannot remember the full story of how this was created. I think it came from a book. The images were taken from a book, I think, and then turned into a full deck. But they're real photographs. I think these are real images from an ancient book. Like, yeah, when I read the story behind it, I was like, oh, I have to have this deck, because it actually does contain history and real, you know, photographs that they've used to turn into a beautiful tarot deck. And it's got lovely pops of colour, but you've still got that stained kind of, again, distressed kind of look to the cardstock. So I really do like this deck. It's like, look at this, really cool images. This next one is the Bygone Tarot, and I bought this one on Etsy. So this deck has a lovely, beautiful back end. So we've got the linen cardstock, which is one of my faves. We have this kind of moth butterfly here, the moon, and again, I love the discoloration of the cards. That's what brings the vintage feel into this deck, and it's very, very kind of traditional. Really lovely drawings. So if you don't like decks that have too much colour, and then this is the type of vintagey deck you might actually like. But as you can see, it's still Rider-Waite system, but it has its own complete imagery here. So I love it because it's quite unique, it's quite different. This was quite a cheap deck, I believe, so I was really happy when it came, because I did get so many intuitive messages from this. Like, I really do enjoy working with this deck, and it's very, very pretty. So you can kind of see the style of tarot decks that I like, and this is why I've put them into categories, so you can see, you know, the difference. You don't like have to like one style of tarot cards, you know. So yeah, I really, really do like this one. Then I have the Medieval Scrampini Tarot. This is US Games tarot deck, and these cards, so this is the back, nothing too fancy, but I really do like this deck. It's kind of easy to read with. At the same time, you have so much going on in the cards that you can get so many downloads and messages, but very beautiful vintage feel to it. And I just like this deck because there's more to it. It's based on on like the old tarot decks, but you can tell that this just has way more going on to it. Like, yeah, there's just so much in the imagery for this deck. But it really does look like has come from the past. It has such an old vintagey feel to it. But yeah, it's just really, really beautiful. I have the Granny's Postcards Tarot, which I think I purchased on Etsy. Most of my decks come from Etsy, I think. Yeah. This has that kind of matte linen-y cardstock. And they look like little messages. They're really cute. They look like stamped envelopes. This is quite a colourful deck. But again, this is based on... yeah, this deck is created from 78 real vintage postcards. And all postcards are real. They were printed in the last century. So some of them are more than 100 years old, and that's what drew me to the deck. I was like, that is so cool. Like, you can just tell some of them are like postcards, but it's like really different. You've got some animals here, we've got a lot of people. Like, this is stunning. There's just like very versatile. As I said, it's a very mixed deck. As you go through it, you'll see there's like very cartoony looking ones, but then you get your kind of more realistic. And yeah, I do enjoy working with this deck a lot. I mean, look at that Seven of Swords. It's just so it has a lot of character and personality to this deck, if that is a thing to say with the deck. But I really do feel that the presence of this deck just brings humor, it brings emotion, it brings, oh yeah, look, the Titanic, it just brings so much into this. Oh, yeah, it is amazing. So this is actually a Halloween deck. This was created by Wisdom by KK on Etsy. But it's a vintage Halloween deck. I mean, I've never seen such a thing. This is the backs. Probably would have been nice if they had like a vintage back, but that is the backs anyway. Beautiful vintage looking pictures. So I feel like you can use this deck all year round, particularly if you wanted to. It doesn't have to be for Halloween, but I do really like this because it has like little kind of sayings with it, like little poetry kind of sayings. So this is the only Halloween tarot deck I have, because I don't really like collecting tarot Halloween or Christmas decks, because I just feel a bit pointless. But this one, I feel you can technically use it all year round, but it does have really cool sayings on these cards. So I'm just going to read you one of them. It says, when you hear the owls hooting, get your jack-o'-lantern out, put on your shroud and hurry, for ghosts should be about. So really cool, really lovely. Yeah, really lovely deck. So moving on to my dark decks. So these are my more spookier, scarier decks. So this is probably going to be my favourite section of this video, to show you the decks that I own. So this is the Macabre Tarot by Samantha Rook. This is a coffin shaped box. So I love the shape. We have these crystals on the edge as well. But the best thing about this is it's the creak. It's really cool. So a box that actually makes a sound. I wish I had more decks where the boxes made sounds. Anyways, so this is the back of the cards, and lovely back in, nice and spooky with the gold gilding. And the artwork here is actually super simple. These are kind of simple drawings, which usually I'm not really a fan of. But there is just something a bit creepy about this deck. And the box did sell it for me. I was like, I have to have that in my collection. But yeah, I don't mind this deck. It's not my ultimate favourite, but I do like it. I do like the fact it says Haunting of Crystals. So, and we've got Terror of Daggers. So it is really for the spooky lovers who love a dark deck. And I actually quite like black and white decks. Yeah, so that's another reason why I seem to be quite drawn to keeping this deck. Then I have the Tarot of Haunted House, Sasha Graham. This is a low Scarabeo deck, and this is one of my favorites. Like, I love this deck. This is the backs, so it has this kind of like reversible back in, and it kind of goes through like a story throughout the deck, but it does have a very eerie, spooky feel to it. It's got this light energy but also dark energy, so it's like this mixed combo. Honestly, I love this deck. This is definitely one of my favorites of my entire collection. I just use it so much, and yeah, it definitely has that real kind of dark vibe to it, but at the same time it's not too spooky, I guess. So we have a really cool Ouija board. I think it's basically the hand that is the Ace of Pentacles, I think. There we go. Oh, Ace of Swords, sorry. Yeah, that's like a lot. There's also like a voodoo doll here in this deck as well. Look at the sun, that is so pretty. There's the voodoo doll, so sweet. But yeah, this is really a really cool deck. I love the kind of versatile feeling to it. So this deck is called the Beauty of Bones Tarot. This is the Silk edition, and this deck has the most beautiful packaging on the back of the cards as well. Like, look at this. Like, this is very simple, right? But this has to be my favorite backing, or one of my favorite backings in my decks, because like, oh, it's just so luxurious, kind of gothic-y, plain black, silky vibe. Love it. And then we have like this rose gold edges. This is a photography based deck, so I think it's just really talented and creative how someone has, you know, created all the imagery themselves. So as you can see, it's just really vibrant colors. We've got real skeleton bones in here. And yeah, I just had to have this deck in my collection because I thought this is so unique, this is so different. I do love a photography deck because it's all real photographs and real props, and I just love the idea that someone's took the time to basically create a card for each of the tarot cards. So yeah, this is a bit dark, I guess, because of the skeletons and the real bones. So yeah, this is definitely a really nice deck to own. So the next one I have is the Memento Mori Tarot, and again this is by Hattie Fawn, which I mentioned one of her decks earlier. This one is obviously themed of like the Day of the Dead. Beautiful vibrant backs. The black and the red really pop. So it has a really nice dark presence to it, but it's just so connected to like Rider-Waite system. It's just really, really pretty. Lots and lots of red in this deck as well, so lots of red and black, and like cards like this, like it's so unique. I do like decks as well where I don't see a lot of people using them. I do like to kind of look for different decks as well, you know, not just the deck that everyone's using kind of thing. So I really do love this one. As I said, I'm quite a fan of her decks, so this is beautiful. Another favourite of mine is the Tarot of the Night deck by Alexandra Vibich. So this is a low Scarabeo deck, and I've had this for so long, and I probably should buy a new one because I basically feel like I've ruined it. I basically did edge my cards, and let's just say I'm no expert at edging, and yeah, it's not great. Has a really dark feel to it. So pretty, but it's almost mixed with a bit of like almost like fairy tale presence to it. So it does, again, it's one of those decks which is like dark and light, but like look at this, like that's intense, like oh. But then yeah, you get images like that where it's just super kind of cute. But I do really enjoy using this deck. This is one of my ultimate favorites in my collection. But there's just so many messages you get from this deck with the symbolism. And yeah, I love the theme of it. It's kind of all over the place, and that's what I love. It's just, it all kind of mixes well together. Ah, look at this one. Like, it is, I don't know, it's just very beautiful. Like, it's just one of those decks where if I had to kind of like only keep a couple of my decks, because I feel so connected to this deck, the amount of readings I've done with it. Which is one of the reasons I edged it, because it just looked so worn, but I probably should have left it as worn. Then I have the Horror Tarot deck. This is by Insight Editions. Just has red backing, but it does have little gilded like red foiled words, so it can be hard to read because the words are very small. Like this is the Six of Wands. Yeah, so it can be hard to pick up, but I do really like the detail of that. So if you love horror films, horror decks, yeah, this is definitely a really cool one. I just like the artwork on this, and the fact that it's not like a pippy deck. It has its own illustrations for each of the card. So yeah, I really like this. So this is included as one of my like spooky decks. It's probably my favorite deck from Insight Editions, because Insight Editions do obviously have very, how do I say it, like similar decks when they release them, the same type of art style. If you've got Insight Edition decks, you'll know what I mean, but this is definitely my favorite one they've ever done. Then I have the Poe Tarot. So this is Trisha Lee Schufelt. So this deck is based on Edgar Allan Poe, navigating through the Fool's Journey, and it basically has a piece of his poetry on each of the cards. So this is the back. I really love it. It has this almost like metallic-y, glossy look to it with the birds. And then the edges are like kind of are like this bronzed red. And this is like a black and white deck. It's very minimalistic, very simple, but I love the fact that we have a piece of his literature, his writing on each of the card. So I'm a big fan of poetry. I do like his work, and this deck I really do connect with. It has a very deep feel to it, you know. So I'd only recommend this to someone who obviously was like a fan of Edgar Allan Poe or poetry itself. I feel like as well, when you read with this deck, you can pull out keywords, and it kind of deepens the reading as well. Believe nothing you hear and only one half that you see. It just, you see what I mean? So you can tie that into a reading, and it just has really lovely keywords. And whenever I pull this deck out and just look for it, it makes me want to work with it. I'm just like, oh, it's just such a really inspiring deck. So this is the Horror Scare Tarot, and this is probably the scariest one actually that I own. Yeah, I got this from Etsy. So this is what the back of the cards look like. Look at that. Beautiful metallic holographic, and then the distressed look on it. Very, very beautiful back ends. And then it has matte red, so matte red edged. So brace yourself, because this is very spooky. It has ghosts, skeletons, like really creepy creatures and monsters. It's quite haunting. It's really like, just, oh look, I just can't, it's so scary, but at the same time it's so beautiful. There is just something really eerie and beautiful about this deck. The quality is amazing. The images are so high quality, and I really love the artwork. It reads super well. Like, look at this with the pop of the eyes. I knew I had to have this deck in my collection. But like I say, it can be like, look, a little bit creepy. It's given a little bit of creepiness. But if you do love a dark deck and you want something that's just like, ooh, a bit, you know, this is the one. It's literally got all the type of fantasy creatures in here. And it's just one of those decks you just want to keep looking. Yeah, you just want to keep looking through. But yeah, I really would recommend this. So I have the Antique Anatomy Tarot deck. Really beautiful box. So it has kind of gold foil on it. Really pretty symbols here. And this is what the back of the cards look like. Not really a fan of the back. But sometimes I'm not too fussed with the back, because, you know, the overall deck itself is more important. There's a really kind of themed around oddities and curiosities. This is kind of has this antique feel to it. I would have included this in my kind of vintage vibed, my vintage themed decks, but it has a spooky feel to it because it is like skeletons, skulls, bones. But it's kind of like a pip deck, which again, I'm not usually a fan of them, but I really like the symbols that they have in this deck. And it has anatomical illustrations and botanical drawings. And again, I do feel like I can pull up loads of symbolism in these cards. So it does read really well, because when a deck doesn't read well, or I don't connect with it, I sell it. So yeah, do make sure you check out my original tarot deck collection, because a lot of them I don't have anymore. A lot of them I sold, or sometimes I get decks where I just rinse them dry to the point where I just don't want them anymore. There's some that will always be, you know, a favorite and I'll want them forever, but others I'm just like, oh, I just outgrow them. But this is a really, really stunning deck. This one is by Meta Tarot Studio on Etsy. So this is the back of the cards, and I bet you wasn't expecting that. You don't really think, ooh, you know, but this is very a gothic-y deck. I can't remember what it was called actually. I think it was called something like Gothic something. I will leave the title on the screen if I can remember, or I look on what it was called as I go through editing it, because it's so dark. Very, very dark. Beautiful Gothic-y images. Stunning, stunning people. Yeah, it definitely has a spooky feel. But it's just bringing that touch of like dark but still really beautiful energy into the deck. And that's what I like about this. I have the Tarot of Vampires by Ian Daniels. And yeah, I really do like a good vampire tarot deck. And this one has a red rose on the back. Pretty. And then yeah, we have some really spooky but sensual looking vampires. It is so pretty. And look at it, I just really want to read with it now. I just, every time, it is. I have another vampire deck to show you, but this is definitely my favourite one out of the two. This just has more of a darker feel to it. Just some images, I'm just like, oh. Such pretty artwork. Like, it really is the best vampire deck that I've ever come across. It's absolutely a 10 out of 10. So the box is just black. I think this is the gloomy tarot deck. Again, I will put it on the screen if I've got that wrong. I love the backing of this. It's so cute. It has like a little type of skeleton type of figure. This deck is very blue, okay, so it has a very kind of black and blue theme to it. It kind of reminds me of like Tim Burton style. Yeah, look at that. Reminds me of the film Coraline. Yeah, so it is, I'd say one of my dark decks because it's just a bit strange. I don't know, yeah, it's a bit spooky. Look at the devil, yeah. But at the same time, it's quite cute as well, isn't it? Like that's pretty cute. So I don't know, is this spooky or is this cute? But either way, I'm putting it into this section because it's, yeah, full of odd type of characters. I have the Beautiful Creatures Tarot. So this has purple edges. It's the only tarot deck I have that actually has purple edges. So I love that. And this is what the images look like. So it has a really kind of spooky feel to it. A dark vibe. They all have these massive eyes and I just love it. I love dolly kind of big-eyed dolls, especially in card readings. So this is definitely a darker deck, I'd say. It is a bit different, but the images are so beautiful. So this is the artwork by Jasmine Beckett Griffith. I do love her work. So the good thing about this deck as well, it has little keywords. So if you're a beginner, it's a great beginner-friendly deck, because you get a keyword to each card. So yeah, it's really nice to work with as a beginner friendly deck. I have the Ghost Tarot. This is a low Scarabeo deck. This is the back, so we have like the eye here, and so these are all ghosts in this deck. So we have the Sun card. I just really like it. Like, I was looking for a ghost deck that was like, you know, spooky, and had like ghosts in it, and yeah, I really liked this one. So I really do enjoy working with it. It's great for type of like spiritual readings. Look, we've got ghost horses here. It's really nice. I really love like paranormal things, the supernatural world. So yeah, I really do enjoy working with this deck. So I think my ultimate favorite spooky deck is the Bohemian Gothic Tarot. So it comes in this really nice box, and this really is a luxurious deck. So the backs, you can see we have this silver foil design here. The backs are beautiful. We have the hourglass up here, the bat wings, bats on the edges. Oh, it is a beautiful back. So they do have cold stamp foiling on each card. So you'll see a bit will kind of glisten. And I just love the detail of this deck. It's very kind of gothic-y, dark, but you've got this beautiful things that kind of pop out of the card, and when they highlight in things with the gold, the cold stamp. So I'm hoping my camera's picking this up. So can you see what I mean? When you tilt it, you can see that kind of shimmery effect going on. This is definitely one of my favorite decks of all time. It's got that kind of vintagey, like antique-y kind of look to as well with the images. But it really, like, look, her dress. When I tilt it, her whole dress has that cold stamp foil thing on it. Oh, it is, oh, look at this card. I just can't, like, it is so detailed, so beautiful, and I just don't think I could ever part with this deck. It is outstanding. So I'd love to show you all of the cards here, but it's definitely my favorite dark deck. So this next category is kind of like the kind of fantasy or kind of mixture of decks, really. I don't really know how to kind of categorize these. It's basically like the rest of my collection. So I have the Boo Tarot. This is a really fun, kind of quirky deck, and this was really hard for me to get hold of this. So the backs have holographic printing on. So really cute with the little ghosts, the moon, the pumpkins, the spider web. Love the backs. And the colour as well. So these are really cute ghosts, which I love a cute ghost. And then all the major arcanas have this glitter effect on the ghosts, which would be nice if they was on every single card, but they're only on the major arcanas of this deck. So you can see the Wheel of Fortune. It's just so sweet. It reads really well. It does have really great symbolism. It's kind of a happy, more energetic ghost deck because there's lots of kind of rainbows. There's like quite a lot going on. And it is a deck that you can, you know, read all year round with. It's not like a Halloween deck, you know. It's really special. I just think that this is really, really cute. And I think what does it for me more is those pops of glitter that you get in the major arcanas. So, oh, it's just such a nice deck. Really fun imagery. I have the Dark Mansion Tarot. Love the box because the box, she's literally in like a tarot booth. How cool is that? Like, and she's doing her readings with her cards. This is probably the best box I've seen. So this is Taroteka Studio, the 4th edition. So the backs are really nice. They have this really vibrant blue gem in the middle, so it quite kind of pops with the brown. The edges are gold foil. And then the images are, I don't know, they kind of remind me of, like, again, I'm going to say Tim Burton, but it's like very kind of spooky drawings. You know, big eyes. I love this deck. It's really great and fun to read with. Lots of intuitive hits. I'm really fussy with the decks I collect as well. I won't just collect any deck. You know, it has to be a deck that I connect with, or that's my style, or that I love. And I feel like now my style is I love vintage decks. Oh, this one. The hair in the locket. I love spooky decks. And yeah, I suppose I am a sucker for something pretty. You know, I do love a bit of foil, gold edges, those kind of things. But yeah, I really do think this is a really nice deck. The Heaven and Earth Tarot. This is Jack Sebereth, Jamie Alford. This deck is a low Scarabeo deck. And you can see how much I've used it, right? If we look at the edges, they're pretty worn, you know, they're pretty well worn. Because I've used this deck a lot. And what I love about it is the soft grey tone of this deck. It honestly just feels so easy to read with. It's so Rider-Waite. But the tones in it, I love the muted tones. I don't mind a colourful deck, but I suppose, if I'm being honest, I do prefer a darker feel to a deck. So I just do love the fact that, you know, there's nothing too kind of blinding in this deck, you know. So it's really, really lovely. Really, like, look at that. That is just so cool. This is so beautiful. The Two of Cups. Oh, and I forgot to mention, it does have like little keywords here. So we have love. We don't have keywords here, but on the majors. But yeah, look, the Ten of Pentacles is wealth. So again, it is quite a beginner friendly deck. And again, you've got kind of astrological symbols here as well. So yeah, it's just really, really lovely. I have the Tarot of the Vampires, which is Charles Harrington. This deck is really great if you like vampires. Sink your fangs into the mysteries of life and seek out your darkest desires. So the backs just look like this. Nice roses. And then it is basically a modern day vampire. So I kind of like the fact it had like a modern feel to it. So it is different to like my other vampire deck, because I don't want to collect loads of vampire decks, you know. I just want them to be different from each other. Like, this is a powerful image. Very powerful. Really beautiful artwork here. Lovely symbolism. It's just, yeah, like I say, it is the modern day kind of vampire deck. And it just has some really different, like, look at this one. Really cool. Like, I think it is a really great vampire deck. So the next 3 decks I have to show you are by Hattie Fawn. So she is a UK seller on Etsy, and I really do enjoy her decks. So this first one is the Inner Shadows. Love the backs. This kind of like old distressed look with the blood dripping down. Really cool. And then this deck, I have had quite a few questions about where I got this deck from, which is why I wanted to do this video, because I get a lot of questions about what decks I'm using in my client readings or in like collective readings on my channel. So I thought it'd be great to just show you my whole collection so you know every single name of the deck and where you can purchase it from. This is so lovely because it has a full description where it kind of asks you a question. So like the star, what hopes and dreams am I neglecting? How can I reconnect with my inner guidance and trust in the universe to lead me? So it's a really great way to include almost like an oracle message in with the reading. So it's really great if you're feeling a bit lazy or if you just need that extra oomph to the reading. It really does kind of bring lovely keywords into it and really does connect with the shadow side of each card to kind of evoke a feeling of, you know, asking you how you can improve on things. The Mystic Maidens Tarot. This one is really cool because it has this kind of cute drawings on them, but there's so much detail gone into, you know, the symbols. All the girls, you know, have these dark or colourful hair in it. It is quite a girly deck, I'd say, but it's just really different. Like, I haven't seen a deck quite like this. It's quite modern, so as you can see the Two of Swords, it's like a modern day deck. I love the pink sword. The colours, the greens and the reds and blacks is mainly the colour theme of this deck, and it's lovely. Now the Shadow Fates Tarot. So that's the backs with like the trees. So this one has a kind of softer feel to it. It does have that kind of old style to it as well. But it's quite dreamy. It's quite ethereal, you know. It's very artsy, I'd say. It just feels... Because all our decks are so different. Like, the style of all our decks are so different. That's what I love. It has a little bit of a moody vibe to it. This is a really pretty one. So I've been collecting decks for like 5 years now. Some have stayed, some have gone, you know. But I am trying to be a lot fussier, you know. I don't want to have too many decks, but I don't want to have not enough, you know. So yeah, I'm just really picky with what I add to my collection now. So I have the Sea Witch Tarot. This is kind of like a Pippi deck, and this is like a black and white deck. But I like it because it's just so, it's a little bit odd. So usually I'm not a fan of these type of Pippi decks, but I like the fact like you go from that to like that, you know. It's just a little bit like different, but it works. So there's a little bit of colour in here, but mainly is quite black and white. So I'm hoping there is a deck here for everyone, you know. So hopefully when you watch this, you know, there will be a deck for everyone's type of taste, hopefully. But yeah, I feel like this is quite a unique one. This is the Runic Tarot, Jack Sephiroth. And this is a low Scarabeo deck. So this is the backs. So the reason I bought this deck was because it literally reminds me of Vikings. This looks like Ragnar and Lagerfeld, like, does it not? It really does remind me of the TV show Vikings. So it has rune symbols in here as well. So yeah, we have the little rune symbols, so it's great if you want to get into that. But yeah, it's just very Viking-ish. Yeah, look. That looks like Ragnar. So, yeah, I'm a fan of the show, so that's the reason I bought this deck, because I thought I do like a bit of historical looking decks. This next one comes in a clear tuck box. This was purchased on Etsy, Jasmine Solace, and it is a Blythe tarot deck. So the pull string cords is the back. So here it says Sleep Forevers. So I think that may be her name on Etsy, but it's really interesting because it's a photography deck. So it's kind of like, you can tell how she's added all these cool props, and she's used real Blythe dolls. So basically she has the Rider-Waite system here, but they have just changed like them into dolls, which I think is a really smart and clever idea. And I do love Blythe dolls. They have really big eyes. And I just think it's really clever how every single image, you know, has the symbolism of the Rider-Waite. But the only thing that's different is, yeah, we have all girl Blythe dolls in each card. So you don't see many people using this type of deck. And honestly, my mum is so jealous that I have this. So next I have Tarot of the 78 Doors. And this is a low Scarabeo deck. It has the keys at the back. This is a nice, cheap, affordable deck. But what I like about it is the kind of modern take to it. So as you can see, the 8 of Pentacles actually has a tattoo shop, and this guy's getting a tattoo. So you can get like a lot of intuitive, like different messages, which is great if you're a bit bored of a deck and you want something that can just add like extra messages that you wouldn't have got before. It really is cool for that. Like, I really do like the modern take. As you can see, we have a baby here being christened, a baby giving birth. Sorry, a woman giving birth. She's pregnant here, so I like that they have that for the moon card. Like, there's honestly so many cool images in this deck. It's very, as I say, modern, but also has an interesting take on the card's meanings. So yeah, I would recommend this if you want the kind of, yeah, modern day deck, because he's munching, he's watching telly, he's very chilled. 4 of Cups. So do you know what I mean? Oh, this is a really good one. The 3 of Swords, and this old woman has a puppet doll, and she is casting some intentions into that with the needles. So again, it's just really cool, the different themes they have in the deck. This is the Monsoon Tarot, which I think you can get on Etsy. This is the backs. So interesting back end. It has that type of linen cardstock finish. And this deck is so like dreamy, very kind of fantasy based. We do have like astrological symbols here as well, but it's so different. Like, we've got faceless people, we have animals in here. It is weird, like, don't get me wrong, it's a very strange deck, but there was just something about the images. When I saw this review, I was like, oh, the amount of messages I could pull from this deck. Like, look, this is just weird. We have this kind of water woman forming from this cracked egg. It's just like, if you want a really weird deck, I definitely would say this is weird. but I just like it. I just feel like I wanted a really kind of fantasy out there deck that, you know, can really kind of pull. Look, we've got like this lost teddy here, and there's loads of like symbols of like keys and lockets. So yeah, if you really want a deck where you can just non-stop talk about one card, like this would be it, because it's just so very unique, so very different. Look at this gem. But yeah, this is the Monsoon Tarot. Next one is the Cute and Creepy Tarot, art by Misha. So I think this was a Kickstarter deck. So this is what the backs look like. Very kind of punky looking with the black and pink, and then we have gold edges. And this is kind of like, again, like big-eyed characters. We've got lots of different creatures and monsters in this deck. But it's not like I don't think this is like scary. This is more cutesy. I do like the colours. Again, I just love her artwork and the drawings. It's very unique. It's very different. Like, look at this one. Oh, that is so cool. It is very punky. But like, you can't deny it that this is not pretty, like, but then it's still got like a little bit of spookiness to it, you know, a bit of weirdness going on. We've got the Frankenstein for the lovers. I mean, look, she has teeth as eyes. It's just, again, another kind of fantasy based deck. We have Tarot of Mystical Moments by Catherine Wellstein, and this one is, again, a very weird deck. A bit like Alice in Wonderlandy, you know? So it has a plain kind of beige toned back, and this has silver edges. And yeah, again, there will be so many different symbols in this deck to pull from, but it's very, very different. I mean, she's talking to a fish. We're observing the fish. Again, there's just multiple symbols you can pull from this deck. I love this for doing like dream work readings and things like that, but like, look, his whole outfit is almost like the sea. And the funny thing, I'm not actually a fan of Alice in Wonderland, but this does give a bit of Alice in Wonderland vibes, because it's just like, whoa. But like, how clever, like, someone thought to do this, you know, to create art like this. Does fascinate me. It's one of those decks where you're not going to get bored looking at it. You just never would get bored at the images. So I definitely would recommend this deck if you're struggling with your intuition. So now moving on to the decks that I have made myself. So this is the Vampire Diaries tarot that I made. So I did call it Vampires and Mystic Falls. And it has silver gilded edges. And I get so many questions about this deck because everyone wants me to sell it or to create more to sell, and unfortunately I've tried my best to get around it, but I don't think it's possible. But basically I made all these cards myself, but due to copyright reasons, unfortunately I can't mass sell it, but I'm happy to have it in my own personal collection. So all of the images I have edited So they have this kind of cartoony look to it in a way. But yeah, I'm super proud of this deck. It is one of my favourites. The Vampire Diaries show obviously is my favourite TV show of all time. So I tried to basically use the cards that I felt went well with the Rider-Waite system. So if you want to see the full flip through of this deck, I will link that down below in the description bar. But yeah, this is my own deck that I've created. So another tarot deck I made myself was this one, which is the Corpse Bride, based on the Corpse Bride film, and it has blue edging, blue gilding, and I did design this as kind of like a pip deck. So we have the mages, the court cards, but the minors are more like pippish. But I really love this deck. It's very simple, but it took me quite a while to make this. And again, I'm not sure I can sell it, even though I did design, put these all together kind of thing. Yeah, I'm just really happy with it because there's no such thing as a Corpse Bride deck. And I was like, I want a Corpse Bride deck in my collection. So I thought, why not make one? And again, I've tried to follow the Rider-Waite system with what the cards mean when it came to the mages of this deck. But yeah, I just love the Corpse Bride so much, and yeah, again, I'm very, very happy with this deck. It has a type of gloss finish to it as well. And again, I will leave the full flip through of this deck in the description bar below. So now we're moving on to Rider-Waite. So the first Rider-Waite deck I have to show you is the Tarot Black and Gold edition, and this is a low Scarabeo deck. So this is the back of the cards, and this is quite a special deck because this was my first tarot deck I ever bought. Yeah, so when I was learning tarot in 2020, I went for this deck as my first because I was just really drawn to the gold foil. I thought, oh, it's very pretty. And I learned tarot every day practicing with this deck. So it has a special place in my heart. It has really lovely detail on the backs of the cards here. Yeah, it's just really, really lovely. The fact it's all gold. Really, really. Again, a special place in my collection that I'll never part with. And I love the black and gold. And moving on to my vintage old decks, I have this old tarot deck here. And this is a 1970s deck. So I love the fact that it's like a vintage deck. This is the traditional checkered backs, and it is obviously the traditional Rider-Waite. So I'm not one of these who collects loads of Rider-Waite decks because, you know, if you have one already, they're pretty much the same. So I just wanted vintage old ones, to be honest. So I have this one, which I work with a lot. It's really lovely. So I have this 1970s blue box one, and then this is my ultra special one. So this is my antique Rider-Waite Smith deck. So it comes with its original box, this red tuck box, and the key to the tarot. So this is a 1910. This is a Pam A deck. So this is like ridiculously rare. I bought this on eBay and never come across it since. As you can see by the edges, it's a very, very old deck. So this is like over 100 years old. And I'm just really happy to own such a precious deck that I really did manifest into my life, and it has incredible energy. This is my ultimate deck. Like, if I had to get rid of all my decks, this is the one that I would keep. Very kind of like thick cardstock, and so I think the Sun card is where you can tell what edition this is when it comes to Pam A or Pam B decks. So yeah, these decks are pretty old. So yeah, this is definitely my #1 deck. But yeah, I really do hope you enjoyed my full tarot deck collection. Let me know in the comments what was your favourite deck that I showed you. I would love to know. If you'd like to leave any recommendations, you can do so as well. So don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. And thank you for watching, and I'm sending you all lots of love and light.